Hello, and welcome to Synity's first ever global virtual summit. A summit is by definition a forum for us to convene in order to dialogue and share regarding a common cause. For this summit, we have brought together industry leaders, experts, and practitioners to discuss the role of data in the context of business, hence our theme, where business and data converge. I am Leonard McGann, Chief Customer Officer at Synity. At Synity, we solve complex data challenges in order to keep supply chains running, improve cash liquidity or margins, meet compliance demands, and more. We are pleased to showcase a group of industry and business leaders from Unilever, SAP, Senzing, and some of our own Synity experts to share and exchange their insights on data transformations, CDO perspectives, context computing, data management, why purpose matters, and even roundtables where you can help set the agenda.
Our next session features a business operating in over 100 countries, which is doing just that. Join us with Vivek, Global Head of Purpose and Brand Experience at SAP, as he shares SAP's journey on becoming a purpose-driven organization. SAP is an iconic company who have taken purpose to new heights. And to you, Vivek.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vivek Bapat. I'm with SAP and I lead our purpose and brand experience team. Thank you, Zarina, so much for inviting me. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today to share some thoughts about purpose in your virtual summit. What I'm going to try to do is to give you a little bit of context on why purpose has been important thus far and why it's becoming even more important today. Give you a little sense of what it is that we are doing specifically within SAP in terms of evolving the strategy around purpose and making this something which is central to the way that we engage with customers and the way that we conduct business. And I also give you a few examples specifically on how we're responding to the COVID-19 crisis related to purpose. And last year, close to 93% of Fortune 500 CEOs said that corporations should not just focus on profits, but they should focus on both purpose and profits simultaneously. This was also supported by a statement made by more than 100 CEOs from the Business Roundtable that suggested that it was time for business to not just serve the interests of their shareholders, but also expand the service to the global stakeholder ecosystem that they work within. Now more than ever, COVID-19 has created a moment of truth for corporate culture. And focusing on the company's purpose and values is really going to be sort of the North Star for you to make the right decisions during this crisis. The analogy that I like to give in this type of situation is the following. If you're in a car race, for instance, races are often won and lost on the turns. So it's really, I think, in this moment of truth is where we will begin to see brands and companies begin to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. And not only will they claim a competitive advantage today, but they'll continue to maintain that competitive advantage, sustainably over time, post the crisis as well. In terms of looking at the overall landscape around purpose, in my perspective, in my opinion, there are really three types of companies. Some companies are born with purpose as part of their founding. And many companies that you might see, and recognize that are born in purpose. One great example is Tom's Shoes, where the company was born with the intent of donation of used shoes to people in need. Other companies have purpose thrust upon them. So in this particular example, if you look back at what is happening in this moment of time, there are examples of the French manufacturer Louis Vuitton, for instance, completely moving their production away from perfumes and moving them into creating and producing disinfectants. You see similar sort of things happening within the United States, where General Motors is now beginning to produce ventilators that are an important part of the recovery process. And then the third category of companies are companies that were founded in purpose, but they continue to evolve and discover new ways of demonstrating their purpose along the way. And the way, in this particular regard, when you look at SAP and the journey that we have seen on the way that we view purpose, we've basically been evolving into a purpose-driven company over the last 48 years. So what we have done, for instance, is the company was founded specifically in terms of helping manage data and processes. So really what we were founded on the basis was trying to solve specific problems that were geared towards technology leaders. Over time, what we discovered was that there was a need for businesses to begin to standardize their processes, particularly when globalization hit in the late 1980s. And so what we saw was that the reason why we existed, the reason why we were doing the things that we were doing, were all about helping businesses begin to run better and run at their best. And over time, what we said was, because we were touching such a vast number of companies that were globalized across the world, we were actually touching close to 77% of the world's transaction revenue. We were increasing sort of the scope in terms of where our customers were situated to well over 180 countries. And our workforce represented more than 150 nationalities. We felt that not only were we focused on helping businesses run better, but we were also helping, through those businesses, we were helping the world run better. And once the revolution in terms of consumerization of technology hit, somewhere around 2008, 2009, the social, mobile, cloud, and analytics, these technologies, these forces all came together. We knew that it wasn't enough to just exist to help companies run better or the world run better, but it was also important for us to help these companies improve the lives of their customers and consumers and citizens that they touched. So if you look at the evolution of SAP's purpose, it's been over a long period of time. And today our purpose and our vision statement is helping the world run better and improving people's lives. So the point of sharing this sort of history with you is that there's always an evolution. It's not, a purpose and a vision statement isn't necessarily always something that's fixed in time. And there's always room to improve and grow the purpose statement according to the state of the business as well as the state of the world that you're operating in. The one thing that is very, very hard to do once you have identified the reason why you exist by asking the question why, once you have the vision statement, is how do you actually lead with purpose within the company and within the ecosystem that you exist in on all aspects of the business. And so one of the things that we did was we basically said, well, we've answered the question why, but now what we have to do is to do the really hard work of saying, well, what are we going to do and how are we going to measure it? How are we going to actually demonstrate that our brand and our purpose is distinctive enough, for instance, and that our products and services are also created and delivered with a sense of purpose that guides the company? And then how do we actually work with our customers, our employees, and our broader ecosystem to make sure that the engagement that we have with all of these representatives is also 100% in line with the purpose and the vision that we have set aside, or rather set up. So really what we did was, in terms of framing the strategy behind this and making sure that this wasn't just a slogan, we spent a lot of time thinking through some of these questions. So what were the quantified outcomes? What was the distinctive positioning? How would we differentiate ourselves in the market? How would this actually be a central part of the brand proposition? How would this guide the development of new products and services? How would this actually be enforceable in terms of the way that we would interact with our customers and partners? What would it mean to employees? And how would we make this something that employees not only care about, but they live the purpose of the company every single day? And not only that it aligned with their own personal purpose. And then, of course, how could we create an ecosystem where it wasn't just about SAP doing certain things for customers, but also taking that approach where we would actually convene our entire ecosystem to be able to solve certain types of problems that everybody cared about. The way that we crafted sort of this opportunity along all of these 7 questions that I've outlined here is we used a common framework using the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as the organizing principle. As many of you might be aware, there are 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that are shown on this slide. So they range from things like no poverty, to quality education, gender equality, and so on and so forth, right? I'm not going to read all of them on the chart, but these are some of the biggest goals that the United Nations has identified as the goals that we need to achieve as a society in terms of meeting some of the broader objectives by 2030. Now, it's important to know that these goals aren't silos within themselves, and there's a lot of interdependency across these goals. So what we did was we basically said, let's use this as a common framework in order to figure out where SAP and our ecosystem can play to our strengths and how we can differentiate the best in the market. What I'd call is a qualitative and quantitative process in order to determine what the business alignment was. It's very, very important to make sure that purpose and your vision is 100% aligned with your business. And so we went through this type of an assessment where we asked some questions specifically about, what types of products do we have? Do our core products support some of the claims that we want to make in the market and some of the problems that we want to solve? Which industries that we serve care about this particular topic? Is there a broad set of customers, for instance, that have recognized and have stated this as a common problem that we want to solve? So we went through this analysis. We went through basically looking at representatives from across the entire company. We talked to a lot of industry analysts who were experts in this particular arena. We also talked with customers, and we came up with a way to identify the biggest priorities related to purpose in terms of the best alignment and the closest alignment to our business. Now, one of the things we did was we said that, just given the size and the scale and the reach of SAP, the big advantage that we have is just like, working with partners such as you, that it's not enough for us to simply be in a position where we're doing purpose-related activities for our stakeholders, but it's really, really important to move to a concept of shared value where we are co-creating innovation and we are actually creating new solutions with our stakeholders. So this idea of actually moving from a company that's only doing things for customers, the traditional things like CSR, for instance, and some of the other more philanthropic activities associated with purpose, I think it's table stakes. We obviously do all of those things, but we feel like for us, the value is really on the aspect of shared purpose, where we can start co-innovating and co-developing new solutions with our ecosystem of customers, partner influencers, innovators, and thought leaders in the field. We have the unique ability, I should say, in order to be able to bring all of these partners and players together and convene really sort of a unified force across multiple disciplines to be able to solve these problems in a meaningful, different way. So that particular aspect of moving from for to with, or moving to a concept of shared value, gave rise to a few things that we have just recently launched. So for instance, just about 3 weeks ago, we launched a virtual series that we are calling SAP Purpose Network Live, where what we're doing is we're convening all of these thought leaders, influencers, and customers and partners and employees, obviously, of SAP, to focus on some of these United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that I just alluded to earlier. So each one of these themes, each one of these topics is covered end to end. The focus over the last three weeks and continuing forward is going to be related specifically on issues that pertaining to the COVID-19 crisis. We've seen a tremendous response on this. So just for instance, in the last 2.5 weeks or so, we've run about 15 to 17 sessions, and we've had more than 2,500 registrants join in, and the number keeps growing every day. We've also introduced this idea of hackathons, where we're inviting customers and partners to participate in solving very specific problems related to how we can, coding related to the flattening of the curve, some of the topics related to discovery of new solutions on helping, I would say, get equipment, for instance, that is required at the time that it's required in places very, very quickly. So we have a number of these hackathons set up. We have a number of these conversations. I'd encourage any of you to go check them out. Even if you can't join an event live, the recordings of all of these things are available for you to take a look. The other thing that we did over the last few weeks, maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago, was we came up with free product offers that were specifically geared to helping customers navigate the COVID-19 crisis. And so the big areas that we focused on, obviously, was that we know that this had to be relevant to the times that we live in, right? And so most of the solutions are focused on people. They're focused on supply chain, which obviously Synity is, playing a huge role in terms of the solutions that you're delivering into the market. We're also delivering solutions related to business, citizen, and consumer insights, and helping our customers with specific products related to business continuity. So one of the things we also felt, which was very important, was that many of our customers and partners, as everybody knows, with offices being closed, are working remote. And so we created a campaign with one of our partners, Thrive Global, in which we provided resources both from SAP and Thrive Global to help employees who are now faced with the situation of working from home, having to deal with having children, not going to school and in the house, having to deal with issues like loneliness and mental health and so on and so forth. We came up with resources and tools to support remote workers. And in addition, we also offered a solution through Qualtrics, which was known as the Remote Work Pulse survey, that has been offered for free. And thousands of companies have been using that particular tool in order to gain sentiment of how their workers, how workers and employees within their own companies are actually feeling, so that they can provide the types of services that are specific to those organizations directly. Another good example is how we were able to use the power of personal networks combined with digital technology in order to serve the needs of a client who was looking to secure 500 hospital beds. And we were able to actually do this in record time using the Ariba marketplace tool. So Richard Prim, who is the account executive, basically opened up the Ariba SAP marketplace to source beds for this particular client. And normally something that would have taken days or in fact even weeks, given the high demand on this particular issue, the fact that we were able to do that in just under 30 minutes was absolutely amazing. So there are so many other examples that I could give, but in the interest of time, I just wanted to share these 4 or 5 different ways in which we're actually bringing purpose to life in a very meaningful way, solving our customers' needs, helping, looking at the customer needs, not just from a technology perspective, but from a work and life perspective. And we've done a number of different things in addition to what I've just shared with you here today. So in conclusion, here are a few thoughts that I'll leave you behind with. First, purpose is not a slogan. It's not a campaign. It's all about values. And it's about your personal values. So really what purpose is all about is a value system that you create, you believe in, and that you reflect your most authentic self. Once you've done that, we know that purpose should guide some of the biggest and the toughest decisions that you will have to make as a business. And once you do that successfully, that's when purpose really becomes part of the culture. I'm so proud to partner with Synity because I know that we share the same purpose-driven culture. I know that you're part of our ecosystem. By working together, as we've already seen, on a number of different topics that are relevant to the times, that mean a lot to our customers, specifically, for instance, business issues related to supply chain, business continuity, and people-related topics, I know that what we are doing together is really reflecting our most authentic and best selves as we navigate through this crisis together. And as part of that, what I want to do is I want to invite others. Come join SAP and Synity in this purpose-driven movement. Become part of the SAP Purpose Network. And let's actually begin to join forces, begin to solve some of these challenging issues that we know aren't here just today, but we know we're going to have some bigger challenges as we move into the future as well. So thank you so much. Thrilled to be part of this summit, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Vivek, for that inspiring session. Our last session for the day is a live moderated session with some of our experts around the world.